Meg here from Jockey Nutrition. Today we're going to talk about milk and alternatives to milk being your plant-based milks. Specifically, what nutrients to look for, how to read the nutrition information panel to make sure you're meeting your calcium, protein, and maybe even your B12 requirements, okay? So let's start off with milk. Milk is obviously cow's milk, and it is a great source of calcium for strong bones, as well as fluid and protein, okay? So it's a really good post-recovery go-to is milk, or you could have cereal with milk and so forth. Now, I have an example here of a plant-based milk being Vitasoy Soy Milk Protein Plus, and this is just one I use. I don't need to use a plant-based milk. I like the taste of it with my coffee, so this is just the one that I choose. All right, so what you want to look for on your plant-based milk is you want to go to the 100 ml column on the nutrition information panel, which is also called a NIP, NIP. What they do have here is a per serving column and a per 100 ml. Now, the manufacturer can choose the per serving and the amount of that, more so with food, but with milk it's usually 250 mils. So that's why we use the per 100 ml column, because that's standardized, and then it makes it easier to compare products, like products with like products. Okay, so let's start off with calcium. So what you want to do is you want to scroll down. I don't know if you can see that, the per 100 ml, and that's the per serve. You want to scroll down till you can see calcium. Now, obviously with cow's milk, it's a natural source of calcium, so it's not actually going to be necessarily written there. But when calcium or another ingredient like iron or B12 vitamin is added, it will be listed in the ingredients, the nutrition information panel. So you want to scroll down to calcium and go across to the per 100 ml column. And what you want to look for is 120 milligrams or more per 100 mils. And that's to ensure that the specific plant-based product is a good calcium source. You know, if it's organic or homemade, it's potentially not going to be that high. So you would want to get either take a calcium supplement or use other sources. You know, for vegans, tofu, for example, is a great source of calcium. Okay, so you want to scroll across and make sure that the calcium is 120 milligrams or more per 100 mils. So that's number one. What you'll also find is that the protein is quite low in the plant-based milk products. So this is why I chose the Protein Plus, because it's higher than the other ones. Per 100 mils it's 4.2 grams, but I know that if I get a cup of it, it's about 10.5 grams of protein per cup. Now, you only absorb about 15 to 30 grams of protein per meal, or per hour. So as a jockey, you need 2.5 grams per kilogram of body weight, so about 140, 150 grams of protein per day. And that's why you have to split it across the day. So if I have this in my coffee, boom, 10.5 grams of protein in that is a good source. But if you have a look at, other almond milks, oat milks, coconut milks, rice milks, you will see that it's quite low. Those products are predominantly, 4 to 10% almonds, almond milk, so there's really nothing in it, and filtered water. Now, if you like the taste of it, 100% choose it, but just make sure the calcium's there, or be mindful to include calcium in other ways in your diet, so you're hitting that 1,000 milligrams of calcium per day. Okay, so that's really important. Another thing that you can look for, and it's not in this soy milk, but it could be in other almond milks, is vitamin B12. Now, vitamin B12 is found only in animal sources, so that's why it's a important one for those consuming a plant-based diet to really ensure you're hitting your requirements. Vitamin B12 can be fortified or added to plant-based products, so you can scroll down similarly to what we did with the calcium and protein, scroll across and see how much it is per serving. Now, every day what you want to consume is about 2.4 micrograms of vitamin B12, so you can use that reference figure to make sure that you're meeting requirements. You can also get an annual blood test to check your vitamin B12 levels, especially if you are commencing a vegan diet or you've been on one for quite some time. If you're feeling tired, lethargic, a bit of memory loss, potentially you could have low B12. And it's what B12 does in your body, okay? So I always say to my clients, and this is the easiest way to visualize it, is a power line. Now, if you think of a power line, it has insulation around it, right? And so B12 is that insulation. Without that insulation, you can't get the energy from point A to point B. Now, imagine that power line is your nerve fiber. The B12 is the insulation around that nerve fiber. Without it, again, your energy doesn't get from point A to point B on that nerve fiber, and hence you can have memory loss. You can be quite lethargic. So it's really important that if you are commencing or have been on a plant-based diet for some time, that you do be mindful of your vitamin B12, your iron, making sure you hit your calcium requirements, and also your protein. But specifically for the plant-based milks, have a look at the calcium. 120 milligrams per 100 mils or more is what you want to look for. You want to get one that is highest in protein. So the protein plus here is 4.2 grams per 100 mils. So you want to try and get it as high as possible. So you're getting, 10 grams roughly in a serve is always good. But if you're getting your protein in your diet in other ways and you're hitting that requirement of about 140, 150 grams of protein per day, then just choose the milk that you prefer. And lastly, if you are vegan, potentially choosing a milk that is vitamin B12 fortified is always a plus. If you have any questions, pop them down below, and be sure to share this video.